Parashat. Parashat Vayeira. Very interesting point in this week's Parashat, which I started to ask the guys in the morning, and I didn't get an answer from them yet. The question is, who is a bigger tzaddik? I mean, we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers Shomea Tfilatam Shel Tzadikim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu hears the tefillah of the tzaddik. So who is a bigger tzaddik, as we see from this parasha? Lot or Abraham? Abraham or Lot? I mean, it seems like, I don't know, maybe a little different than what we thought. Maybe Lot is a bigger tzaddik. Why? Abraham Avinu prayed for 5 cities, tried to save 5 cities from destruction. Lot prayed for one. God kind of, at the end, waved Abraham Avinu. And to Lot, he said, okay, no problem. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Maybe we were wrong all these years. So we need to look further into that. Into what exactly is happening in this parasha. So in Perek Yud-Chet, we read the whole discussion that takes place between Avraham Avinu to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and where Avraham Avinu is trying to speak on behalf of Sodom and Amorah. These were the metropolises of the time, and then the other cities that were kind of made it into a tri-state, like they made it into into this mega urban area. And he's praying that God will cancel the decree that was bestowed upon them. And he says, and the reason you should do so is for a few maybe righteous people that are in those cities. And it says, Vayomer Hashem, and God says, Za'akat Sodom ve'Amorah ki rabba v'chatatam ki kavda me'or. Their sins is great, or are great, and the morals are below sea level. And Kadosh Baruch Hu says, you know what, I had enough of this. Let me see exactly what's going on there. And then it says, Vayigash Avraham, and Avraham says, Ha'af tispeh tzadikim rasha. Are you going to wipe out and punish a righteous man with a wicked one? Ulai yesh 50 tzadikim betoch ha'ir. Maybe there are 50 tzadikim in this whole metropolis. Ha'af tispeh v'lo tisa lamakom leman 50 tzadikim asher b'kirba. Are you not going to do anything? I mean, are you going to continue with this? Excuse me, he didn't say that, but with this madness. Of course, God did not tell them madness. This is Sparta. He did not say that. But God said, no. Chalila lecha, and he says, and he's talking and he's asking, Vayomer Hashem, im imtza besdom 50 tzadikim betoch ha'ir, v'nasati lekol ha'makom ba'avuram. All right. God answered to him, listen, if there were 50 righteous men in Sodom and Amorah, I would have taken care of them. I would not have wiped the city out. Vayam Avraham Vayomer, and Avraham says, Hineho alti ledaber el Hashem v'anochi afar va'efer. I'm really dust and ashes. I'm sorry to speak to you, God, like this. Ulai yachseru 50 tzadikim 5. Maybe there are 45. Hatashchit b'chamisha et kol ha'ir. Are you going to destroy it? And he says, Vayomer lo ashchit im imtza sham 45. It is very weird. What do you? Is a Mediterranean, market that you're negotiating with God? 50. Do I hear 45? Maybe get some guy from those cattle. What is this? I mean, excuse me to say that, but this is how you talk to God. What are you doing, man? Of course, Avraham Avinu knows what he's doing, but we need to figure it out. The fact that it looks so peculiar to us is because we don't understand what's going on there. But Avraham knows, and he's going on, and he's going on, and he's going on, and then he goes to 30, and it says not 30, maybe there are 20, it says not 20, it says maybe there are 10. What in the world is that? My goodness. It's going to like zap me or something? It's a scary airport. Wow.
I'm not going to put the light on now.
Is it blue light?
No, it's like also get better lighting, but you need to plug it in.
Holy schmoly. Holy salmon. What does I always say holy mackerel? You know, it's a holy salmon.
No, you need the USB.
No, plug it in.
Wow. Eitan just got us a new apparatus for live streaming. Now I feel like Rush Limbaugh. David, stoic. So, he's holding. All right. So, we were discussing here what Avraham Avinu is actually doing. Is doing with, where's the light, man?
I didn't turn it.
I wanted like the light. So he's discussing what's and you see he's negotiating in a very bizarre way. And we know from the continuation of the story there were not even 10 righteous men in Sodom. That's why God sent the angels to really destroy those 5 cities of Sodom and Amorah, which whatever they were, So of course, why did Avraham Avinu ask about 50, and then 45, then 40, then 30, then 20, then 10? Why specifically those numbers he was using? Right? I mean, he should have gotten maybe 49, maybe 48, maybe 40, he didn't do that. So Rashi tells us on those psukim, on Dibur HaMatchil, Ulai Yesh 50 tzadikim, very interesting. It says, 10 tzadikim lekol krach v'krach. There were 5 cities, 5 towns or townships, if you're from New Jersey, right? And each one should have 10 people in them. 10 people in them, and we know that there's a concept that's called asara batlanim. Now, of course, those who don't know, and especially Israeli, hotheads, would say, oh yeah, you see people who learn Torah, batlanim. But every city should have a place, at least 10 people in that city that learn Torah all day long for the merit of the city, as much as they need to have a shochet and so on and so forth, and moel. These are what are included in those 10 batlanim, and their job is to maintain and to keep on constantly the spiritual work that needs to be done in the town. Otherwise, the town cannot exist. There were places that the cities in Jewish history, that those 10 sages that used to sit down and learn would get paid, subsidized by the Jewish communities, because everybody wanted it. That we can't have a Jewish city without people learning in it. So he says, lefachot, maybe there are 10. So Rashi says, on 45 people, Rashi says, hatashchit b'chamisha, therefore there's going to be 9 for each city. Ve'ata, in other words, God, you're going to join them to a minyan, and then it's going to be 50, so it's going to be 10 in each one. In each one, God will join the minyan. It's going to be 9 plus God's going to be 10. All right, because God is called the righteous of the world, Tzidiko Shel Olam. So maybe because of that. The answer is no, then there's not even that. On 40 and below, Rashi writes, Ulai yimtzu sham 40 v'yimaltu 4 krachim v'chen 30 yatzilu 3 mehem. So we'll go further down. So maybe we're going to save four cities. Maybe we're going to save, they're going to get together. We're going to save 3 cities. and so on and so on. Maybe two, maybe one, just save one. In other words, Rashi says, and Rashi understands that every city needs to have 10 righteous people in it that will serve as a spiritual shield to protect the city from what's going on there. And you could see, I mean, some of you guys that have been with us throughout the years, I mean, at least I observed a very bizarre observation. Any place that the yeshiva was at throughout the years, I mean, we've been going on since 2003. Every place that the yeshiva went, prosperous. You know, it was growing and developing and was, you know, any place that the yeshiva went down the tubes. It's amazing. Why? Because not that we are so special, because learning does it. Learning brings the bracha to the world, brings prosperity to things. Now, by the way, that's the halacha also, that you have a home. At home you need to learn as well. A house that there's no Torah in it, chas v'shalom on it. You need to learn at home also. Right? So, I know all of you have very important things to do at home, which are very important and yet extremely insignificant in the spiritual realm, like doing your homework and, you know, watching Family Guy and, you know, and all the stuff like this. But in terms of spirituality, they're completely meaningless. You need to sit down and learn. You heard this, Junior? Sit down at home and learn. So that's what Rashi says. In other words, Rashi understands. So since there were 5 cities, we need 50 righteous people for each one to protect it, and if at least there were 10, in other words, 2 in each city that would get together will save one city. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that. So of course the question is, why didn't Avraham Avinu ask that less than 10 will protect on one city? Okay, so let's say there's no 10, but maybe there are 8. Let's do a countdown, you know, and maybe there are 9 and this and that, you know. So Rashi answers us, and it says, "Ulai yimtzeu sham 10 al pachot lo bikesh." On less people, he did not ask. And he says, "Amar dor mabul hayu shmona." During the generation of the flood, of the whole event of the flood, there were 8 righteous people. Who were they? Noach and his sons, right?
That's 4.
Their wives, right?
8.
There was 8. And still, he did not save them. Al tisha al yedet tziruf kvar bikesh velo matz. He says 9. You know, if there's no 8, so mimele there's no 9. In other words, we learn from Noach that 8 and below can only protect themselves, or can only save themselves, but cannot save everybody else. That's why Avraham Avinu asked, "Are there 8 there?" On 9, he asked on the beginning. He said 9. He already asked in the beginning when he was talking about 45. So he said he understood that in every city there isn't even 9. So, therefore, we learned that less than 10 tzaddikim in a city can only save themselves and not the whole entire city. And even the tefillah, the prayer of Avraham Avinu is being called Ohavo Shel Hashem, the one that loves the Shem the most, HaKadosh Baruch Hu the most. Avraham Avinu loved God the most. And his own personal request did not help or was not sufficient to save even one city. Not even one city. So, however, if you continue reading the story, and that's what we were talking before, when the angels come to as they say in the military, they came hot. You know, there was a hot rescue. They came in, you know, imagine it was like some kind of like a, you know, Delta team or Ranger team or one of those things, coming out with helicopters, these things are still going on like this. They're coming out with a chopper, going with the guns, open the door, come on, let's go, They came, the Malachim came to destroy. And they said, and when they said to him that all the 5 cities are going to be destroyed, he prays to Hashem. Lot prays to Hashem. And it says, Vayomer Lot alehem, al na Hashem, please Hashem, no. Nametza avdecha chen be'enecha, please, your servant should be pleased in your eyes. V'tigdal chasdecha asher asita, and you're going to do a great kindness with me, to save me, because I cannot run up to the mountains. Let me run to Tzoar, and then I would be saved. And as we know further down in the Psukim, we see that Hashem heard his tefillah, and it saves the city. Vayomer elav nasati panecha gam ladavar hazeh levilti yofchi et ha'ir asher dibarta. I listened to what you said. I heard what you said. Everything is okay, Eitan?
Yeah.
By the way, you take some chulant.
Maybe later.
It's superb. And hurry up and run over there, because I cannot, I can't destroy everything until you get there. So go over there, and that will be okay. So of course the question is, how is, and that's the question that we started with, how is it that the tefillah of Avraham Avinu was not answered? And because there were no 10 people there, and Lot, there was much less of a righteous man than Avraham Avinu, was able to save the whole city of Tzoar. And more than that, Avraham came with ideological claims and arguments which were quite substantial. And it says it can't be that the righteous judge of the land, God, right, is not going to do something, that is requested, sit down and try to find the merit out. You see, the difference between Jewish judges of the time and regular judges, the job of the judge is to find ways to find some kind of a merit in the person, not to give him the full penalty. That's the job of the judge. Unlike today, the judges, sometimes they play God or whatever, or legislate from the bench or whatever they do today in the courts. So how is it possible? Avraham Avinu comes and complains, and it says about Kavod Shamayim, it says it's going to be Chilul Hashem, and he's talking he's praying and begging Hashem from a point of mercy on others, and of course he doesn't have any self-interest in the matter. He's concerned with what people would say about God. So Avraham is not asking for himself. So Lot is asking for himself. Avraham is asking for everybody. And God says, no, it's not, something is not. Something is, we're missing something. However, of course, before we're going to go into this, we know there's a concept that we learn in Masechet Makot. Talking about Shofti, right? Masechet Makot, that when we have a person that accidentally killed another person, what do? He runs. No, עגלה ערופה, מה עגלה ערופה? You ate too much chulent. ערי מקלט, צדיק, יופי, אתה רואה, ערי מקלט. He goes to the refuge city. How long does he have to stay to the refuge city? Until the Kohen Gadol dies. Right? Now, we also know that it says over there that the mother of the Kohen Gadol used to supply all the needs of all the people. They used to run to the refuge cities, their clothing and food and whatever. Why? So they won't pray that their son, so they would not pray to her son will die, and by his death they're going to run and become free. I mean, what's going on here? These people, okay, they didn't do so intentionally. It was negligence or whatever it was, but they killed someone. God is going to listen to him, and the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, is going to die because of some killers that want to go home to mommy? I don't understand that. I think maybe we got it wrong. Maybe we got the whole concept of prayer and the way God answers prayers, we got it wrong. Maybe we got it wrong. I don't know what to tell you. It's really bizarre. You start thinking about these things. I mean, if you think about Ishmael and Hagar, Hagar was making fun of Sarai Menu. She was a maid, so threw her out. She's crying. Until today, we have to sorrow. There's Ishmael over there. I mean, I got to tell you, with all due respect to Avraham Avinu, I mean, why did you have to respect for Ishmael? Just leave him alone. Because of Avraham Avinu, now we suffer. Like, was it? I don't know how this thing works. Something doesn't seem right, or it's an indication that we got something completely wrong. We don't understand it appropriately, and we also know, for example, that if the Kohen Gadol used to come up from Kodesh HaKodashim, right? Yeah, so we know he was a good guy, right? But however, if he was not, he would die there. We also know that when the Kohen Gadol in Yom Kippurim, at the peak of the day, enters the Kodesh HaKodashim and he says, Ribono shel olam, al ta'aleh lefanecha tfilat oruvei derech. Those people who walk in the road, don't listen to them so there won't be rain because they are walking. Don't listen to what they say. What do you mean? Kohen Gadol, ma ishtagata, you out of your mind? I mean, we are waiting here to harvest. To plant for the field to grow. This is our food. You're talking about the whole country's food. Don't listen to them because they might pray that we're going to suffer. Why would Hashem listen to them anyway? Hashem should say, okay, how many olchei drachim, how many people are going on the way? I don't know, 5,000 people. How many people in the land? 5 million people. Oh, hey, that's very simple. 5 million, 5,000, 5 million win. Allah Zacha. Here, he asked, ask for something, I don't know, something like nice, there should be, I don't know, whatever you would ask, but not, you're going over there and you're asking for not to listen to the prayer of somebody. Be'emet? Really? It's just, it's unreal. So, these things really need to, we need to pause. We really need to pause here. So the Gemara, when the Gemara talks about it, it gives a whole discussion. We learned it also in Ta'anit when we're doing that. However, if you pay attention, right, so you'll see that the answer for all those wonders that we said, that the Kohen Gadol would not die, that God would not listen to the rain, for all these things that we were saying, there is a certain common denominator. All those prayers that were said was prayers that were said from a very special place in the heart of the people who were praying. Those people suffered tremendous distress. And it was real, vital, distress in which they're all feeling. And because of that yearning to beg from God comes from a very deep place that accepts the Yeshua, the salvation from God to hear. We do know, and we do say it, Karov Hashem lechol keroav, lechol asher yikreu be'emet. What do you mean be'emet? Because there are some people who just pay lip service. When you talk to God, you pay a lip service. Do you really mean what you're saying? Are you praying from this place in your heart that is the place that there is in each and every one of our hearts, or being, or spiritual being, there's a place, it's a small point, unfortunately, a small point, it's called emet. That emet is the nitzotz eloki, is the divine spark in each and every one of us. That's the divine particle inside each and every one of us. That particle has a name, it's called emet. So if you pray from this place, Hashem hears you. Hashem hears you. Yes, Hashem hears also the prayers of Arabs. If they're feeling a true feeling of distress, they're not crying Allahu snack bar because they want to just, Idbach el Yahud, kill the Jews. They're suffering for whatever. God hears the prayers of everyone. Remember the bird we were talking about? Well, you left snack bar. Yeah. You remember in Parashat Ki Tetzeh, we were talking about the cry of the bird, that in a way that brings salvation to the world. Yes, even the cry of animals. That's why our job as Jews is to be kind to the people. It's not we know that we are, and the Gemara talked about, and we learned this, if a person is not rachum, is not merciful, and is not kind, and is not welcoming, he's not a direct descendant of Avraham Avinu. When you pray for Hashem, when you pray to God, bring us back to Jerusalem. Bring us back. Bring your divine presence into a permanent dwelling. Do we really mean that? Do you wonder why we don't have Mashiach, Messiah? Don't want it. We're paying lip service. Let me ask you a question. Let's say, I don't know, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but let's say you have someone that you really, and I'm using a big word, hate. You can't stand this person. And you say, when this guy dies, you know what? I'll open a champagne. I'll smoke a cigar and drink a bourbon. Now this person is sick. And he's suffering. Are you going to say, did he hit the bucket yet? Or are you going to praise a person suffering? Would it make a difference to you if that person is a Jew or Gentile? Do you care about the pain of others? If the pain is pain, real pain, not pain of crocodile tears. Real pain. Do you care about this? Real suffering. Care about that? Do you? You can reach this point of emet, of truth, inside of you, and bring your voice to echo from within if you haven't practiced this caring. And if you want to know why we are still in exile after all these years and we're going through what we're going through, it's because we don't care. We're just paying lip service. Let's say, for example, you just got yourself a $1.5 million house in Miami with swimming pool, having mojitos all day long. I don't really like mojitos so much. More like a bourbon person. But, I'll take a mojito by the pool. Nice gold chain on my thing, a little, suntan lotion, wearing whatever, and all of a sudden you get a telephone, you get the telephone call, you say, who's this? Hold on a second. Is this Mr. Scam likely? No, it's not Mr. Scam. It says, Mashiach ben David is coming. What's like a Mashiach ben David? They pick up the phone. Hello? I'm sorry, upside down. Hello, yeah? Mr. Zohar, yes? Who is this? Oh, yes. Hello, my name is Mashiach. I'm here. Next to me is Eliyahu. Eliyahu, say hi. Hi! All right, we're gathering now we're going into, in the airfield, go to Miami International. Please go board the plane. And please, we're going out to Israel. We're going to the homeland. Everybody, you hear it? Are you going to come in also? You say, I said, you go. What are you going to pray tomorrow morning? Right? What are you going to say tomorrow morning? You're going to tell me? You're going to pray, Mashiach ben David b'mera. You're going to pray this? He came right. He went to Israel. He's stayed in Miami with your gold chain on your neck, wearing your purple Speedo. I mean, come on. Do you really mean that? Do you really desire? You want to know what's yearning? I'm going to tell you. There's a wonderful, wonderful person to live about, 850, 900 years ago. Around that time. His name was Rabbi Yehuda Levi. Levi. He was a poet, among many other things. He was a poet. If you really want to read beautiful poetry, I think that there's no ach vareya to that. Nobody can write poetry as it was written during the time of what we call the Golden Age in Spain. You know the nigun that we say, Ya Shema Evyonecha? Yes. He wrote, Ya Shema Evyonecha. Everybody, yeah. That's okay. That's right. He wrote this. If you look at the meaning of the words, of the way, I mean, it's really supposed to. I mean, we get caught on the tune, but the words are like, shatter your heart. Read what he's saying. Anochi libi b'mizrach v'anochi b'sof ma'arav. I'm in the end of the west, and my heart is all the way out in the east. How am I going to break free from the burden of the Christian ruling? Because they're all the people that and the ropes of Islam. Because I'm stuck here. I can't go, and I want to be there. From that place, you pray. How many times there is somebody that you actually know him or her that is sick, and somebody says, "Listen, this person is sick. Can we just say to heal him for However, when it comes to you, all of a sudden you feel the pain. You want everybody to do this, right? You don't care. We say, we learn for the sake of someone, or we do this. Do we really care? Do we reach the point, that if those things don't do anything to you, you're not even getting close to the point of emet, of truthfulness inside of you. The place that is pure and is untouched. Somebody sent me something, please hear it from Israel. Say refuah shlema for somebody. All it takes is what? Say shir lamalo, the Sinai la'arim, so one thing heal him, it's okay, it's not a problem. Say, Gam can hear b'schut. You find it with yourself to give to others. What's the big deal? Do you want somebody to say it chaz v'shalom to somebody that you know? Of course. So why would you do it to others? Because you're living in a world of sheker, in a world of lie, of selfishness. Selfishness causes to live you in a lie because you know that you cannot do it alone. I mean, not only because you cannot do it alone without your friends, with a little help of my friends. Yes, you can sing out a tune, and you hope they won't walk out of you. But how can you do it without the help of God? Not touching this point, not talking to God from this point is very difficult. It's very difficult. That point is a very special point, and once you touch this point, I mean, until you go there, it's like, how far is the rabbit hole? I mean, it's like going down. But once you touch this point, it's the smallest point inside of you. It all of a sudden explodes, and you go into like a totally different medium, a totally different, realm altogether. You change as a person. So you need to be very careful. There's a story from the Ari. The Ari the Rabbi Chaim Vital brings that the Ari, they were sitting down one time and learning. I mean, they learned more than one time, but one time in the middle of their learning, all of a sudden the Ari says, everybody stop doing now and stop praying immediately. And he sent some guy, go over there, there is to say, what's going on? He said, there is a decree from the heavens that a flock of million of locusts is going to come in and is going to destroy all the fields. And they said, why? What happened now? He said, there is an ani there, some poor person sitting there in one of the streets. He's crying and asking Hashem to do something because he's starving and nobody's caring about it. Run over there and take care of him. So some of his students ran, they took care of the guy, they gave him food, they gave him clothing, and they say they saw the cloud of locusts like turning around and going towards the ocean. We have to be very careful.
Do they continue to care for him afterwards?
Without a doubt. I mean, this is something, when you experience something like that, I'm telling you, you won't be the same person. You won't be the same person. You will change. They would, we're talking about great people. You can't know about anybody, but once you know, you can't close your eyes. It's a very special point to be in, and I encourage all of you there. And once you reach this point, even if you come to the zone of this world, of this point, you're already going to see things that I'm going to tell you, they're going to mamash freak you out. You're going to ask something from Hashem, boom, he hears you. And it's like, you start to, it will panic you. And believe me, it happens. But only when you're asking for truthful things that are good. Yes, God, please make this guy go away. That's not going to happen. Only for good things to help a person, not only a Jew, to help a person in distress. Once you reach this point, you're also becoming an extremely, extremely humble person because you can relate to other people. And that is another thing that we see in this week's parasha, and that is when the pasuk says, "Vayeshev Avraham el na'arav," and Avraham returned to his companions. Vayakumu vayelchu yachdav el Be'er Sheva, and they went together to Be'er Sheva. Who was there? Eliezer. Yitzchak stayed in Har Moriah, right? And then he went back to what's his name? Ishmael and Eliezer, and they went yachdav. What does it mean yachdav? So the word yachdav appears 3 times in Parashat Akedah. 3 times. One time to describe the walk or the journey of Avraham and Yitzchak towards the Hakidah, because it says Vayelchu shnehem yachdav, and another time at the end after they actually passed the test, when Avraham and Yitzchak went with the two guys, they went to Yachdav leBe'er Sheva. So Rav Hirsch points out the difference between Yachad, and I'm quoting, Moreh larov rak al chafifa chitzonit. Holchim beyachad only shows on external proximity. We're going together only externally. Bezman itkansut chitzonit, when we're gathering together. Kol shevet achim gam yachad. In other words, we're going to all be together. Leven yachdav, yachad, yud, chet, daled, to yachdav, which is, and I hope Mr. Singer will do some wonderful gematria. This guy, Melech Singer, tremendous gematria expert, does wonderful stuff. By the way, this shiur is dedicated to the Refuah Shlema of, your dad. Avner Ben Hefzi, Berta Bat Raya, Tamara Bat Sarah, Ariel Bat Mazal, also to the tremendous atzlacha of our agents in the field, Mr. Mike and Karen, codename Rachel, or Rachel, codename Karen, and to our dear alumni, should I call him, still Talmud, Mr. Mark, who is downtown Miami, somewhere, And to all the guys, and especially to Rabbi Bornstein, which I do encourage you to listen to his lectures. Rabbi Bornstein, Brian Bornstein from LA, a wonderful, wonderful speaker, an alumni of the Yeshiva, a dear Talmud. I would encourage you to listen to his stuff, his shiurim, and what I post on the chat. You can listen to it and forward it as well, because it's wonderful. And he also likes bourbon, so that's terrific. Anyway, so it says the word yachdav, when it says morei yoter al hit'achdut, when it's unification internally. Yachad is external, yachdav is internal, joining together. And it says, Lifnei ha'akedah nifredu Avraham v'Yitzchak from the two lads. Vayomer Avraham el na'arav shuv lachem po im ha'chamor, v'ani v'anar nelcha po v'yishlach avelu shuv lechem, and so on and so forth. Right, that's what it says. So Rav Hirsch does not see that separation, when they separated, just a technical matter. It sees here something very, very deep. It says, Yisharu po. Stay here. Why? Because you don't have a part in anything that is going to come from this point and on. In other words, that is, yes, we are together, but we are completely apart. And that includes Ishmael. Basically, when he cuts off Ishmael, happens here. When he decided that Eliezer is not going to be the one, that happens here, right? And whatever would have happened also, in the Akedah, they would not understand, they would not comprehend, so therefore he would not put them in this test. And that is in the foothills of Har Moriah. So that's what happens, because the whole process that happened in Har Moriah basically led to Matan Torah, and that's why the Torah was given to the Jews, because from this point on it's already a different story. And the Torah, and why is that? Because the Torah can only be given to Ratzon Hashem, when Hashem wants, by complete giving up and letting go of selfishness and self-importance, as Avraham Avinu did. And until the mountain, Bnei Noach can go also. They can go with Avraham Avinu. Right? Why? Because they're also children of God. But to go up the mountains, only people like Avraham and Yitzchak can do it. So the walk of Avraham and Yitzchak together, they go into the mountain with a tremendous spiritual strength, and that's what Rav Hirsch says. It says, which brings a tremendous point. In any other person, after such a spiritual experience, such a tremendous spiritual elevation, most people would be completely arrogant. It says, I'm better than you, and I'm enlightened now, I became a guru. And I have nothing to do with you. You are in second class. But in Avraham Avinu, this is not like this. Avraham Avinu doesn't push away regular people that need to live and so on and be so not enlightened. He doesn't push them away. On the contrary, Avraham Avinu does not look from the highs down at people. And what Avraham Avinu really does to us is a tremendous lesson, that even though they just did a tremendous thing that maybe no other person ever will do, they're coming back into the people in which they left behind, and they're working together, yachdav. In other words, they're trying to even, at that point, elevate those who were not as fortunate as they are, and they don't see themselves superior to all. And that's something, unfortunately, that we all have to be careful. Yes, Baruch Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu granted us with a wonderful gift that is Torah. Yes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu granted us with 613 mitzvot to go, to elevate, to bring us up, gave us Shabbat, Kervanu Lifnei Har Sinai, Dayenu, right? And all this, right? Akol Tov V'Yafeh. But don't be arrogant. Don't think that you are a superior race. It only gave you the Torah because of the promise that he made to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Not because you are yourself are not great. Not because you are great numbers. Not because you are good with numbers. So you should internalize it and therefore humble yourself to really receive that, because humbleness, anava, and understanding that even the other person, even the Gentile, is also a part of God's creation, and your job is to elevate him, not to step on him. That is something that we all have to be very careful. Respect people, honor people. That's something very important. Don't make fun of people. Don't say, hey, they goyim. Don't say that. Try to show them. Don't try to convert them. Judaism is not a missionary religion. Try to show them the light. Try to show them the light. What light? God's light in the world. That they should understand, and from themselves that understand that there is a God in the world and there is an order in the world. And that's something that Avraham Avinu and Yitzchak is doing. And Rav Hirsch sees with that a limud ledorotehem. It's something that the generation should learn. And I'm quoting, Aruach asher maaseh hamofet shel Avraham v'Yitzchak yanchineh lanedorot. That thing that Avraham Avinu and Yitzchak inherited to the future, that's something we should all embrace. That something is called anava, humbleness. Darko shel ben Avraham. If you want to show yourself that you are a son or a descendant of Avraham Avinu, ככל שהוא מתעלה עילוי רוחני ומוסרי, as much as you elevate yourself spiritually and morally, and I do emphasis morally, כך ימעט להתנשא על אחרים. This is how much he would reduce, and the level, or the more he goes up, the less he feels superior to others. וכן ימעט להכיר את גדולת עצמו. And at that point, you're going to stop thinking that you are so great. I heard this woman, she was a great teacher for Limudim Ruchaniim in Israel. She used to say, I'm not even a person, I'm just a pipe, I'm just a vessel. Don't hold me as a great person, don't hold me as anything. I'm a pipe. I'm a vessel. And that is something that I think there will be a tremendous antidote to what is happening in the world today. We need to get ourselves our own spiritual vaccine for what is happening in the world today. Yes, you got to get vaccinated. It's your right to get vaccinated. And it's your right to be smart or stupid, to be arrogant or humble. It's your right. But don't come crying with the results. We have a path in which we should follow, which would lead us into the right path. That's the right path, the way of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. That's what we should follow. Not our own path, because we don't know where our path will take us, but we do know where their path will take us. And that will bring us to the place of Vayeira Hashem lemelech al kol haaretz, to the path of, then all the nations will see that God is God, the King of all kings. So Rabotai, very heavy spiritual points here. Now we're going to daven Arvit. Just remember, you got a chance right now to pray just the way I told you. So until then, boys and girls, Shabbat Shalom.
Bravo.